So I'm a Dutchman. I'm now Director of Data in the European Commission, and before joining the European Commission, I worked in the Dutch Ministry of Economic Affairs on industrial policy, on technology policy, and then I started working for the European Commission, and I've worked there for more than 20 years. And what may be relevant perhaps is that, I did a lot of law during my studies. I did European studies and then a PhD in Florence at the European University Institute. Yeah, that's an interesting question. And actually, the European Commission has published in March 2021 a strategy, the Digital Compass. So it's a roadmap for Europe towards 2030 and what should be done in the digital arena. And it sets out a vision also for what we would expect companies to do. Now, obviously, one of the big areas where a lot needs to be done is the use by companies of data technologies, of cloud computing. And we have a target that by 2030, 3 out of 4 European enterprises should be using cloud computing services and also big data and artificial intelligence. Now, obviously, another very important area is skills. We must make sure that we have the necessary digital skills in the workforce. And one of the goals of this digital decade is to make sure that everyone is equipped with at least basic digital skills, and 80% of the population should have basic digital skills. But we would also like to have 20 million of ICT specialists by 2030. And there, obviously, there's also an important role for the companies to play to make sure that we meet this target. Yeah, obviously, I look at this from the perspective of the policymaker, not as a business person. But what I've seen from that perspective is that sometimes companies are making a strategy for a data analytics-driven ecosystem, as you say, but they don't take into account what this will mean for the existing silos within the organization and how you can make sure that the different parts of the organization work together on really implementing such a strategy in a natural way. And also, another thing related to that is that I've seen examples where the strategy was perhaps a bit too much inward-oriented to see what the company itself could do with the data it had, but without taking enough into account the outside the organization, so inside data for the organization. So it was a bit too much focused on the data that was already in the organization without taking into account. Also here, I will take a slightly different take probably from the other people you will interview, because I will look at it from the side of what is the relevant policies here that will make a difference. I would like to highlight our data strategy that was brought out in 2020, February 2020, a European data strategy, where we work with legislative measures such as the Data Governance Act and the Data Act, together with investments in data infrastructures, investment in common European data spaces. And the investments and the legislative actions to improve the governance of data, they go hand in hand. And I think there will be a very important background for any activity on data in Europe in the coming years. So that's why people should be aware of this policy. And of course the legislation, but also the work towards the creation of these common European data spaces in Europe. In my intervention in the conference, I'm going to talk about the data strategy, about the legislation, about the investments by the European Commission, but also what we expect from the member states, the countries in Europe. And I will also highlight how we approach the data economy and data in society in a European way. So we want to handle data in line with our values, including in terms of privacy. That's really important. And we want to ensure that data can flow between countries and between sectors. And we also want to make ample of data available for use. Now, the way in which we combine these different goals, I think they are important for the people in the conference to know what's happening in terms of policy, legislation at the European level, because it's an important background of all the activities of the companies that will be present.